March 2020 was a pretty hard time for pretty much everybody. Quarantine, lockdowns, isolation, it all became pretty overwhelming, and things started to get a little weird. It was springtime, though, and she won't be ignored. I started spending time in my mother's garden, which I'm lucky to be able to call my garden, though she does all the work. When this little home oasis helped me to feel a bit better, I started to venture out a little. My friend Christina lives nearby with her small family. Having good friends so close was a lifeline in the darkest months of the pandemic.
I think that gardening is just extremely different from my professional career. I'm someone who needs sort of an explanation for why I'm spending free time doing something. I'm not a great just leisure activity person without it also serving some practical purpose. So gardening is practical because it is, helps make your space more beautiful. It helps attract the birds and the bees and, improves the ecosystem in a variety of ways.
That's a ladybug. Is it a ladybug?
It's gratifying, because you get to watch things become more beautiful, sometimes not. You get to experience failure, but you also get to experience lots of success. And you get to keep trying and, working at it. I think the good part of it for me is that it's not a project that ends necessarily. It's kind of a dynamic process, and it always needs tending to and upgrades and changes.
Does the rake have spiders?
Yes. It helps me to have a reason to use my body, to use my hands, to use my mind in a very, very different way than I do in the rest of my life. Do we make tea?
This is pineapple shake.
Want me to try it? Pineapple-y.
Bayview Hunters Point was a neighborhood built on industry and for industry, without much regard for the people that lived and worked here. Over time, this has led to the neighborhood feeling very remote from the rest of San Francisco. It's a neighborhood that is full of surprises, has sweeping bay views, hence the namesake, and is dotted throughout with cheerful pops of green space where neighbors love to gather. One of the great community gardens in Bayview, Adam Rogers Park, is nestled on the south slope of Hunters Point Hill, right behind Christina's house. I met up at Adam Rogers with Danielle and Isaiah, who have a gardening nonprofit in the neighborhood called Dragon Spunk Grow. They manage several small plots in Bayview, helping green space to thrive and provide.
Gardening, I love it because the obvious. Gardening gives you food if you do it right. It brings people together. And then we're doing work together, and before you know it, we're talking and we're friends, and then more friends come by, and we're sharing food, and then before you know it, we have a little community.
I love to see people come together and the networks that we build when we're in a garden, because we get to see people come out from, that we maybe normally wouldn't get a chance to meet them.
It is a great way to make friends and keep friends and solidify relationships. And might sound crazy. I think plants can be friends of a sort. They're not going to talk back at you, but there is a communication that happens on an esoteric spiritual level, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, because we need to garden. The earth needs us to garden.
And it just gives me a sense of, I don't know, just hope.
But garden's a great therapy. It helps take the edge off. You're angry about going through some things, go out and garden, and it gives you another perspective. The endorphins start kicking in because the plants actually stimulate your endorphins. That's their way to tell you, hey, take care of us so we can take care of you. Don't bite this, lover.
I'm gonna bite it.
This makes you feel like you can do something as a human being. This is what makes you feel like something. Because you can eat this. This is real. This is what's the only thing that's real. It's material. This is real. We didn't go to a store to buy it because there ain't no stores anywhere near here. This is the value of Bayview.
Latona Garden is a tiny little strip of land right above 3rd Street that Danielle and Isaiah also manage. I had a chat with Marcus, a neighbor and longtime volunteer, about why he loves gardening and working with neighbors to beautify a space.
I've always been really connected to nature. I grew up in the West Country in the UK, out literally in the countryside. There's more sheep and cows than people. So I've always loved nature. I became a vegetarian when I was 9 years old because I was friends with the cows. I enjoy plants. There's so many forms. They're just so amazing. I enjoy the design aspect of it because in my job I'm actually a designer, not a garden designer. It's a design thing. It's very accessible. I'm surprised more people don't garden because it's not expensive. I mean, previous places I was living in where I didn't own, so I just had a rental. I would just go and take cuttings from the sidewalk and you can grow a garden just with that. You can get to spend basically next to nothing. It's not too hard. Once you get the basics down, you plant stuff, it grows. Sometimes it doesn't. But anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. And I really love more people to realise that get into it, because I find it so rewarding when it comes together and you see the beauty of it. So, especially with the current thing happening and everything, so many horrible things going on that I guess I got a bit down in the dumps about it, and then so it's been really nice. Now the flowers are starting to grow, and I've just been in here and people just stop by the fence, neighbours stop by the fence and say, oh, it's looking really nice.
The Casada Gardens initiative began with Annette Smith and Carl Page in 2002 when they started tending the long-neglected median outside their house. Nearly 2 decades later, the garden is still being cared for by neighbors and many volunteers, and has helped to inspire and establish gardens just like this throughout our neighborhood. If you live in Bayview, you know about Casada Gardens. It's only a block long, but what a block. The views are so good.
What does gardening give me? That is a pretty profound question. Taking a teeny, tiny little seed and putting it in the ground and getting the conditions right, and it turning into this big thing. It's just infinitely satisfying to me. Pair this sunflower just using corn stalks and grass. maybe the last couple hours. First thing I do every day is go out in the backyard and sort of look at things and give things a little water, you know, do a little weeding or pruning or whatever. Connection to the earth, I guess, is the main thing that's satisfying about it. It's, you know, you feel the seasons, which aren't very prominent in the Bay Area, but certainly, like, this is such an incredible day. The first significant rain of the year was last night, so everything is different today than it was yesterday, and it's really exciting to me to have an excuse to sit here in the garden for a while and smell the smells and see everything looking a little cleaner and a little happier than it was yesterday. Being a part of this particular garden has been a big part of my life for the last 20 years. And we've always had large groups of volunteers who come work in the garden. And because of the pandemic, that stopped. And so I really missed that. Just like being a group of people physically working really hard is fun. And, you know, like being able to kind of go up and down from group to group and be like, oh my God, you guys are doing an amazing job. Here's another shovel. It'll work a little better for that. And these clippers are going to make that go faster. And all these people are just like, dig, dig, dig. And they're all happy and having fun. And so none of that for a year, or a year and a half, really. Several of the neighbors have like the spot out in front of their house they take care of. There's a few people who kind of expand out and work beyond just in front of their own houses. I'll just say how grateful I am to have been a part of this for the last 20 years. It has been like really one of the richest parts of my life. Getting to know the people here, getting to know what can grow. Just seeing how a really small group of people can literally completely transform a landscape and a culture in a 1 block long stretch of a city.